I mean, the more mysterious you make yourself out to be, the harder it'll be for them to get a grip on, right?
Exactly. Yeah, mysterious, being mystique, that's what keeps you like in the light. If I tell you everything, then you're just like, okay, well, I'm bored of this guy.
Because as a streamer, as a content creator, as a YouTuber or whatever, where you basically are just putting yourself on camera for hours and hours and hours a day, you don't have the privilege of getting to be Playboi Carti, who's ducked off, mysterious, weird. You don't really like get to hear him talk. You never heard him talk for 10 minutes straight. You've seen him on interviews being awkward as but he gets to just stand there looking like a bat with the tight jeans and the weird expensive coat. And, you know, he gets to scream into the mic and he puts out an album every 3-4 years and it's just a bunch of weird noises and but as a streamer, it's like you don't get to have that mystery. Instead, you have to just constantly be kind of blowing your personality out and just showing them more and more and more of yourself, right?
Yeah, you don't have the option. Like, I like to call it the Jim Carrey option. Like there was a Jim Carrey documentary where he just like would go in the forest and paint. But you have to get to that status to be able to do that. So if I'm streaming 24/7 and that's my only aspiration, how the do I escape? So I feel like if I'm streaming and, you know, eventually trying to do my act,
Right.
I could just say, you know, streaming for 20 days because there's still this much amount of money coming in and just go off the grid.
Right.
Yeah, my Jim Carrey shit, so.
It's weird because when you become famous or when it becomes very logical and profitable for you to do shit on camera, then a lot of other stuff stops making sense. Like, okay, me and you have this good conversation. If I wasn't a content creator, if I was just some guy who owned like a fucking record label or whatever, I would probably hit up somebody like you after watching a bunch of shit on YouTube and be like, hey, you should like come by the office sometime, or like we should get lunch sometime or whatever, just to talk and just learn from the person. But because I'm a content creator, in my mind, that lunch seems like a huge wasted opportunity, because if I can have that same fucking conversation on camera and have hundreds of thousands of people enjoy it, that feels like more beneficial, which is kind of like a sick, twisted way to think about your life. But as a content creator, you're incentivized to think about it like that.
True. I mean, what you're talking about is simply time and revenue.
Right.
Like, it all correlates. So, yeah, just like you said, we can go out to lunch for free, but what's the point? We could just sit here and correlate your time and your revenue. So and that's how I look at everything.
I have all these friends in the media world that it would be great to sit down and have lunch with them, but we would never do it because we're going to meet up when they're in town and boom, we're going to sit on camera and talk for 2 hours, and then that's what we're doing with our time because it just makes more sense. It's kind of
that's content.
But then those same people, if you have a conversation with them off camera, you end up talking about shit that's way outside the boundaries of what you would talk about on camera. Like I remember I was at Academics' office one time just talking to him for like a half hour, and in that half hour of talking, I found out about a lawsuit that he had dealt with that I fucking had a similar thing going on that he would never have said on camera because it's all just shit that we would never want to publicize or whatever, and just like a bunch of different record label shit, different people in the industry. Oh, did you know this about this guy? Blah, blah, blah. All little shit that we would never say on camera. So that's like kind of if you don't have the off-camera conversations, you're kind of keeping yourself away from the good shit to a certain extent.
That's definitely true. There's definitely a lot of shit that I would say on camera versus off.
Right.
For sure. Like backstories and everything. So, yeah, I mean, some shit you just got to keep off camera.
I could ask you about some random guy off camera and you just tell me all about, oh, I fucking know that dude, blah, 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 blah. But I ask you the same thing on camera. It's like, well, I don't want to give this guy the attention of talking about him for 15 minutes, so I'm not going to, you know, it's like there's very different incentives when you're off camera versus on.
Yeah, it's like a certain type of strategy. It's like being interrogated in a sense.
Yeah.
So the conversations definitely would be different. You got that type of relationship. It's like that stepbrother relationship. You guys always going back and forth. Yeah. But not going back and forth, but just like, I don't know if you guys are cool or you're cool.
Yeah, we're
some
cool
days.
now. It's kind of weird because it's like we have a business thing that we're kind of like doing together. And so it's like as soon as you start to do business with somebody, then the standard of talking shit about that person becomes a lot higher because it's like you don't want it to affect the way that you're potentially making money together.
Yeah, that's what I noticed. At first it'd be like, I'm gonna just crash out on Adam. And then just over time it's just like, you know, I fuck with Adam. Like shit got a little bit more, I don't want to say gentle, pause, but it definitely, I kind of sensed it.
I mean, it went through a lot of different phases, but definitely I think that one of the strongest phases was that he was like super buddy with 6ix9ine, and I was interviewing everybody talking shit about 6ix9ine.
Yeah.
And then I said one thing to 6ix9ine's baby mama about how I thought Act was kind of like went too hard on girls or like picked on girls or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And me and him, meanwhile, were like not really talking at that point. Maybe we went 3, 4, 5, 6 months without really talking. And he heard me say like one thing like that. And that just kind of like cracked it off, even though I didn't think I was being unreasonable at the time, but he took offense to it. And because we weren't really talking, and meanwhile, in my opinion, he had 6ix9ine kind of in his corner, like backing him up because I feel like 6ix9ine has never wanted to beef with me because he knows that anybody he beefs with, he's making them way, way bigger. So he'll beef with a little Dirk, or he'll talk shit about a King Von, or he'll beef with like big rappers and stuff. But in terms of like media personalities, I think that especially when he was at the height of his career, he didn't want to mention me because he knew that it would fucking blow me up more. You know?
Yeah, strategic with that too.
But he could send Ack after me.
Yeah, I mean, and that worked too, right?
Well,
sent him after you.
Definitely. I do not put that above 6ix9ine by any means.
I mean, that was Ack's niche. It was his niche was like he goes hard on chicks. But I mean, I watch Ack every day just like I watch No Jumper. And I think over the time I think he kind of geared away from that. Like he only goes hard on like Nicki Minaj a little bit or something. But for the most part, I feel like his approach towards women now, or like somebody must have told him behind the scenes, like, yo, like just calm down a little bit.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I don't see it as much anymore.
Well, I mean, he went crazy on SZA, and then I know for a fact, or I heard it from people that like there was real shit happening behind the scenes. Like people really were like trying to figure out where he lived and shit because of him talking about SZA.
Seen it. That was crazy.
So I don't know if that changed how he thought about it or anything like that, but definitely like, yeah, that's a weird thing about like I'm in a lot of subcultures, like in rap. Somebody will really beat the fuck out of you. Somebody will really shoot you if you fuck up. I'm in poker.
Yeah.
In poker, I know dudes who ran off on the plug for millions of dollars. And ain't nobody ever touched them. In the whole entire history of the poker world, I do not barely know about anybody who ever got touched for fucking up.
Yeah. I mean, that's different than street culture though.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Like the SZA crash out, I was watching that shit with my teeth like I said, damn, like, how's he gonna, like, what the fuck's gonna happen next?
Did
like,
it hurt you as a SZA fan, or are you a SZA fan?
I'm not really a SZA fan, but just, you know, you got sisters and shit like that, and you just see that, and it's just like, damn, like were they in a relationship? Even though they weren't, but it's just like you're watching it, like, I would only crash out over somebody like that I fucked and was emotional attached to if I was in that mind state. But, yeah, that shit was wild. So I guess maybe somebody said something because I haven't heard shit since.
You can activate a different level of rage in the people by going at a woman. Because like a dude might be able to take it on the chin and just ignore you or whatever, but as soon as like a woman feels aggrieved because of something you said, and I have been there too. When Black China walked out on me, I had like this certain people that like I guess I'm supposed to be afraid of showing up in my DMs, like letting me know like, oh, you're gonna die, like you're gonna die, and I'm like, did you watch it? Like I didn't really like say anything that made it like that was so offensive that I think you should be mad at me just because she walked out. Her walking out was kind of like her thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's how it is. I mean, you got a lot of white knights out there, I like to call them. White knights, betas, simps. So,
yeah. So where do you feel like you fit into the red pill world when we have the whatever podcast and the Fresh and Fits, and then we live under the spectrum of the Kevin Samuels as rest in peace and the Andrew Tates and all that kind of shit. I feel like people kind of look at you as somebody who's a little bit red pilled, would you say?
I like to say that I'm not, though, because everything I talk about, I experienced. So if I'm a certain way about a certain situation, I have a certain idea about a situation, I've dealt with it. So if it's like a chick cheating or I'm catching some chick texting somebody, this and that, I've dealt with it before. I'm not just, you know what, guys, like this is how chicks are. Like you can't trust them. It's all based off past experiences. So the red pill shit is not even a thing anymore. Like,
you're taking the Sneeko line, saying it's over?
Nah, like I never been about that red pill shit like that because I just feel like it's unrealistic. So if I'm working at Walmart, how can I be red pill? Because if you're red pill, you got to be like high, quote unquote, high value. You got to make this amount of money in order to request the type of shit that you basically are asking a woman to do.
Well, that is the weird thing about it, is that it's like the worldview that I hear a Fresh and Fit espousing, where you as a guy should be able to fuck whoever you want and your girl should basically just be doing whatever you say or whatever. It's like, I know rappers who for sure have a relationship like that. I'm sitting here interviewing Blueface with his baby mama, and he's basically saying that he cheats, and she's saying that she don't like it, but she's not going to do anything about it. And it's like, that actually is the world that like Fresh and Fit is telling you about, except that for 99% of guys, you're just not going to be able to get that kind of relationship. It's like a pretty unlikely scenario for most people to be able to land in.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I say the red pill shit is bullshit, because you have to be a rich guy to get away with certain shit, or a guy that really has his shit together. Like, if I don't want to say any names, but there's certain celebrities that have side babies. But if they weren't in that position with their wives who stayed with them, absolutely not. So in order to even request this red pill, you got to do this, do that. The woman has to be in fear of losing you in the first place, but she's only going to be in fear if she holds you at a place of value. So if you're just a regular guy, I mean, you're not in a place of value.
My girl has told me in the past that she would leave me if I cheated on her, like on some real like affair type shit, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And then like we were just fucking around like hypothetically, and I said like, what would you do if I fucked Taylor Swift? I'm like, would you just leave me? And it's like, I saw it in her eye that of course she wouldn't be able to leave me if I got like the most high-end designer pussy that you could think of, the most coveted pussy. Of course, that's gonna, like, that alone is gonna make her go from being the chick who's angry as fuck that you cheated to the chick who's like angry, but also you're staying right here.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like you could probably get a couple passes based off of like, I guess, the experience. So for her, she probably was thinking like, well, I mean, he did fuck Taylor Swift. It was more for the experience. I'm still hotter. So that's probably why she would have gave you a pass. Yeah. I feel like it's like the quality of chick if you cheat too.
Yeah, because when I picture myself having a little side thing, it's more like, oh no, it's like some grimy ass stripper chick that I ran into or something, like, because to go high quality is going to take more work.
Exactly.
If I was going to cheat, I'm not really trying to like take on a bunch of work. I'm trying to just do something easy.
True. Yeah. I mean, I got a long history of all that stuff.
Cheating?
Yeah. It's like
shout out to my wife too. I'm not going to fuck Taylor Swift, even if she lets me. Sorry, Travis.